welcome to the show. You're watching Tech 24. I'm Julia Seeger. In this edition, as many countries are rolling out contact tracing apps, we tell you why people are concerned about their medical data and what could happen if it got in the hands of big tech like Google and Amazon. Many citizens are now calling for a balance between privacy and public health. And in Test 24, we'll try a hologram touchpad to avoid having to ever press again on the lift buttons, a good way to stop the chain of contamination. As many countries around the world move to reopen their borders and restart their economies, Europe is rolling out contact tracing apps as part of efforts to prevent a second wave of coronavirus infections. Germany joins Italy and France in launching apps this week, but the measures is stirring concern about privacy, as Catherine Viet explains.
The collision of public safety and privacy as governments turn to technology to fight the coronavirus. Across Europe, countries are introducing new apps designed to trace potential infections. They work on a similar premise, using less invasive Bluetooth technology to connect with other smartphones in the area and sending an alert if a contact becomes infected. But France has opted for central location tracking and chosen to store its data centrally, unlike Germany, Italy, Poland, and Latvia, which have opted for decentralized platforms put in place by Apple and Google. That model gives users a higher degree of anonymity. Questions about how long the data is stored and where have sparked concerns over privacy.
C'est que ce dispositif puisse demeurer au-delà de ce que le gouvernement estimerait nécessaire. Autrement dit, actuellement, on trace les personnes à cause du Covid, à condition qu'elles se déclarent malades pour que ça marche. Mais qui dit qu'on ne tracera pas ensuite une autre grippe, une autre maladie, le doigt dans un engrenage.
French officials have sought to reassure the public, saying it's better the data is stored with the government and not with the private sector. In Germany, where fears over state surveillance bring unwelcome associations, the government switched from a plan to store data on a central server after privacy experts warned this could allow people's relationships to be spied on. Now the data is kept locally on individual smartphones. Ahead of the app's rollout, the government was at pains to stress its use is not mandatory.
Sie ist freiwillig in jeder Hinsicht. Freiwillig, ob man sie runterlädt, freiwillig, ob man sie dann überhaupt einschaltet und die Bluetooth-Messung einschaltet. Sie ist freiwillig in der Frage, ob man nach einer Positivtestung sich dann entscheidet, andere zu informieren.
It appears Germany's approach is working. The app has been downloaded 6.5 million times in the first 24 hours. By contrast, France's app, launched on June 2nd, has proven less popular. According to Amnesty International, Norway, Kuwait, and Bahrain have produced the most invasive tracing apps. Norway has since announced it's halted downloads and will delete all the data that's been collected so far.
And we're going to keep on talking about the issue of data privacy with our in-house expert, Dhananjay Khatalkar. Hello, Dan.
Hello, Julia.
So tell us more about when and how medical data became such a precious commodity.
Well, it always was because it's extremely personal. So this data essentially shows what physical state you are in. Now, there are two sides to sharing this data. There's the good side. So over the past few years, we have seen the development of connected devices. So for example, smartwatches that you can use to improve your fitness. They can also guide you to lead a healthy lifestyle. That's one part, but there are also examples of how the sharing of this data can be intrusive. So for example, ad targeting companies can use this data to specifically place their ads which no one likes, basically.
Of course, yeah. And the banking industry as well, or insurances.
Absolutely.
Now, beyond these contact tracing apps, like here in France, we have Stop COVID. There's another project that's stirring a lot of controversy. It's the Health Data Hub, the HD Hub, and it's stirring controversy because the data is expected to be stored on Microsoft's cloud.
That's right, Julia. But first, let's take a look at what HD Hub is. It is an ambitious program. It is part of France's Artificial Intelligence Initiative. It's a platform that brings together public health data which can be accessed by companies which have to be approved by the by the Data Protection Authority in France, which is the CNIL. And after that's done, these companies can use their artificial intelligence solutions on this data in order to develop, for example, better diagnostic techniques, for new drug discovery, and for various forms of improved treatments and care. Now, this initiative was launched in December 2019, and in April 2020, 10 companies were selected out of around 200 companies to try out their AI solutions. Now, there's a very stringent process by which these companies can access this data. So, for example, once a company is selected, they can use this data, but they cannot copy it or they cannot store it. And once the AI project is done, they cannot be connected to the hub. So in that way, the privacy of this data is maintained. And of course, as you mentioned, this data will be saved on or stored on Microsoft servers. And that has caused concern because, as you know, there is this Cloud Act, which gives power to US law enforcement authorities to request for data which is stored on the servers of the American companies. So that's why there are these concerns.
Thank you very much, Dhananjay Khatalkar. And as we just said, information has become one of the world's most precious commodities, with tech giants such as Facebook and Amazon creating data-driven empires. The cities of the future are also being built on data to provide faster and more integrated user experiences to citizens. But the key to a successful smart city project is to build a relationship with inhabitants based on trust and include local players. Well, let's bring in Guillaume Cordonnier, the Deputy Head of Services at Capgemini and the co-author of the report entitled Data, Cities and Citizens. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you to invite me, Julia. Good morning.
So why is it important to find the right balance between intelligent infrastructure and data privacy when thinking the future of territories?
In fact, it's a very hot topic, Julia. We can observe it in, for example, Toronto, with the private player prefer to give up because of the debate on this subject. What we believe with NetExplo, our partner with who we did this report, is that we have to build data trust territories to create a new social contract with the citizen on the territories. So we have to create platform regulated by the cities. We observe a very strong dynamic on self-data, and self-data, the idea is to give the power to the citizen. For example, we now create a My Mobility account on mobility topic to give to citizens the ability to manage their mobility rights. Another example is a very recent with the COVID-19 crisis, is what RATP did in Paris on the subway to create a crowdsourcing services, and the citizen give the information to all other citizens.
Now, you've also helped put together a smart territory project in the northeast of France. It's called the Haut-Val d'Alzette. What are some of the lessons that you've taken away?
I think, Julia, that the main lesson is that smart territories is not only limited to very big cities. Of course, Dijon, the city of Dijon, was a pioneer with its own platform. But with the Haut-Val d'Alzette territories, we can observe that we can did it for small territories. What we did is to create a platform, a data platform, to collect the different data, a front office to provide the services to all citizens, and a control tower to manage all the public services. And we have now services on mobility, on sustainability, on waste management. So it's a good example that we can, with this type of platform, find a good balance between industrial data territories and the management of the right citizen.
Well, Guillaume Cordonnier, thank you very much indeed for that.
You're welcome, Julia. Thank you very much.
And it's time now for Test 24. On the set of Test 24 this week, we have a device made by the French startup MZ Technology that helps operate a lift without physically touching the buttons. Dan, how does it work?
Well, as you can see here, Julia, there's a 2D holographic display. That means that it's a virtual projection of the screen, an LCD screen, which is placed inside the box. Now, the light from the LCD screen moves through a glass medium, and this is a special glass medium because it contains a series of small mirrors, and the light keeps bouncing off these small mirrors, and finally it emerges out, and that's how you get the virtual projection. Now, in these times, in the times of pandemics, this is very useful, as you can see, because I don't have to physically touch the glass, and I can just press one of the buttons as if I am interacting in the air, which I am. And the
Right. I don't know if our viewers see it, but you're not actually touching the screen.
Right. Now, this is done because there's an infrared source, infrared detector here, so which is aligned with this image. And the moment your arm comes close to the screen, it detects this movement, and that's how the interaction happens. Now, this box contains a computer, a Linux-based computer that processes all these interactions, and they send these signals to, for example, in this case, the system of the lift, and that's how the lift can be operated. Now, this box has multiple applications. It can also be used in ATMs, for example, and the big advantage is that because this image can be seen only from a particular angle, so when you're withdrawing money, there's no chance of someone snooping on you from the side, for example, because when you look from the side, you don't see anything. And that's the particularity of the 2D holographic display, unlike the 3D hologram, which you can see from all the angles.
Thank you very much. That brings us to the end of this week's edition of Tech 24. We hope you enjoyed it, and do stay with us here on France 24.